Hi everybody, welcome to my contribution to Poncho Girl Summer. We're gonna start off today's video in the best possible way with a yarn haul. My package literally just arrived from Linda Hobby. It took about a week to get here. I would know, I've been counting. The first thing that I got are these 3 cones of raffia yarn. It's the Raffia Luxe paper yarn by Linda Hobby. I think I got the color beige, yeah, beige. These I have a couple of home projects planned for. Next, I got 2 balls of this Lang Palettes yarn. This was a little bit expensive, but I had to. I mean, that is so pretty. It's crazy. Lastly, we have the star of today's video, which is the yarn for my poncho. Obviously, ponchos are everywhere, and I've been looking out for the perfect poncho that I wanted to make. I didn't know if I wanted to knit, crochet, have an open gauge, have a cool stitch pattern. I was even thinking about using this for one, but I saw Claudia Saluski wearing this poncho at Coachella, and something about the granny square pattern just got my creative gears turning, which is exactly what I was looking for in a poncho. So the poncho is from Frankie's Bikinis. It retails for $150, 100% cotton, and I purchased 6 skeins of this Drops Saffron. The 6 balls of Drops Saffron totaled to $11.70 without duties and shipping, but even with those included, it would have been like 30 bucks the most. I've never used an Egyptian cotton. They are supposed to be nicer because the cotton fibers that are blended are longer. I think the weight might be slightly thinner than the actual poncho I'm recreating, but my guess is that will just make it a little more drapey. In the time since I ordered my yarn, I've been doing some digging and planning so that I can recreate this exact granny square pattern, and I will be speaking about the construction and my self-drafting process a little later in this video, but my kind of insane goal is to finish this in less than 2 weeks, so I think we better just get started. I already have a lot to kind of update on. So last night I tested out my granny square plan. I made like a draft of a chart to try out. This was the first square that I came up with. My chart had me doing 5 chains for each of these little mesh sections, but this one looked a little bit more open compared to my inspiration. So then for my second square, I just tried 4 chains for the mesh. This one looks a lot more similar to the goal I'm going for. Square on the left is the one with 5 chains. The size was also too big, and the flower petals have like more of a pointy appearance. And then the one on the right uses 4 chains, and it looks a lot more like the floral Frankie version. So yeah, I went for the 4 chains, and I am using a 3.5 mil hook. So then the next thing I had to figure out was how to connect everything together. In the original, there's no seams between the granny squares, so I decided I was going to join them as I went with slip stitches. This is how it's looking. You can see how the mesh continues from one square to the next. I'm working on joining my 4th square, and then I will just continue kind of like a snake pattern, joining them as I go. Each panel, the front and the back, both have 15 squares plus a half of a square for the neckline. I am so obsessed with this right now. I think I might actually be able to pull off my 2-week goal. I have a secret travel plan, which you guys will have to stay tuned for, and I really want to finish it in time. So let's go get some squares done. was such a fun weekend. I went upstate for my friend's graduation and we ended up taking the ferry to Vermont, and also we went to Canada. We went to Montreal just for dinner, which was really fun and crazy. I was in the car for so many hours and I really thought I was gonna get more crocheting done, but like I would do a little bit and then get like kind of nauseous, so I would stop. Let me know if you guys also struggle crafting in the car. I was with my friend who was working on these color work mittens with yarn she just got in Norway, and I was so jealous because she was literally doing color work in the car with no problems. I actually need to ask her for a picture. I'll put it right here of what the mittens look like right when I'm about to post this, so we'll see if she finished them or not. But they were looking really, really cool. I got back a few days ago and then we were walking around Soho when I realized I could actually go and visit the Frankie's Bikini store and see if they had the poncho in real life. So here's the footage of that. It was really interesting to see the poncho in real life. I wasn't like trying to go and copy the design per se because I already kind of had the design plan and most of the construction out of the way already. It was more so to go see how the poncho might differ from mine and also to try it on and see if I even liked wearing it. So I did confirm that their material is a little bit thicker than my drop saffron. And then theirs is also an off-white color, whereas mine is like more of a stark white, which I think I prefer on me. Theirs also definitely has a little bit more structure than the drape of mine. It kind of holds its shape a little bit more. And I also think mine will turn out a little bit larger, like take up more space than theirs, which I think I would also prefer. Frankie's had a couple of other really cute crochet pieces, matching shorts, tops, dresses. Some of them had like machine knit features, but the crochet portions did seem to be actually hand crocheted and not that machine knit crochet look. They have a higher price point than like a Shein, but I'm not exactly sure what that means for the people actually making the piece. And I couldn't find any manufacturing info online for them. It's definitely something to think about because like I wouldn't pay $150 for that poncho, mostly because it's like a poncho. It's not the best investment for like a really wearable piece. And also obviously I can make it by myself for a tenth of the cost. At the same time, I do think the amount of work making this poncho is worth way more than $150. And that would be if 100% of that was going to the actual artist. Anyways, that's like a tip of the iceberg take, but I felt like I wanted to talk about that just a little bit because I've been thinking about that as I've been working on this too, and just the nature of recreating fast fashion pieces in general. On a less deep note though, I've just been enjoying comparing my design with their design and seeing how it all works out. I am in California now with my parents, and I guess I should reveal the secret location I alluded to earlier, which is Palm Springs, which we're going to today. I thought it would be so fun to have the poncho finished for the trip to the desert. Just because I originally saw the poncho being worn at Coachella, I thought it'd be so cool to have the similar vibes for like pictures or whatever. I do feel like I jinx myself every time I set one of these deadlines. However, I did get a lot done on the poncho. I did finish both panels, including the little half square for the neckline. There are a couple little mistakes, but I'm not too worried about it. And then for the second panel, I started working on the mesh that will go over the shoulder. A little something like this. So yeah, come with me to Palm Springs and let's have a little desert weekend to try and finish this poncho. Okay, it's super late. I've been working on the poncho a lot. I wanted to show you that I connected it on one side. It's looking really good. I might not finish it on this strip because I still have to connect the other side and add the scallop edge and weave in the ends, but I still have some more time. So we'll see. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Just connected the other side of my poncho, and here is the first ever try on. What do you guys think? I think it looks really good. I think the neckline is a little bit wide. Like, I could kind of shimmy out of it. But when I do the scallop edge, I'm gonna do a single crochet first to kind of cinch it in. It definitely has a lot more coverage than the original, which I love. Just the finishing touches are left. I am back home now. I've actually been back for like a week. I took a huge step back from this project because I was extremely stressed about finishing the poncho in time for my trip. I think we've all been there, but it's okay. I didn't meet the deadline and we're gonna move forward anyways. At least that's what I'm telling myself. I know a lot of people experience this with making deadlines for their projects too. So in the meantime, I've been actually working on this headscarf as a gift. It's just a granny stitch triangle. It's the Aunt Lydia cotton crochet thread. I think it's number 3. I did a scallop edge and now I'm working on a little tie. Thin white cotton yarn is clearly one of my favorite summer yarns to use. I'm not sure if this triangle is like the right length in the back, but we're going with that length because I'm ready to get back to my poncho. So while I was weaving in my ends, I was thinking a little bit more about my neckline situation. I was going to do just a tight single crochet to kind of cinch it in. I don't know if that would be the ideal fix because also cotton yarn does tend to stretch over time and it's like really wide. You can see in the back, it's really stretching down. I don't think single crochet is gonna fix that. Okay, so the new plan is going to be to frog a couple rows of each mesh shoulder so that it kind of goes like this and lifts up a little. I didn't weave in these ends yet, so I'll have to undo and reattach, which is a little bit more work, but that's okay. I really want to do things right. After that, it will just be, again, the scallop edge and weaving in the ends. It'll probably take me like a couple more days, so I'm going to work on that. And I think the next time I talk to you guys, I will actually do a more detailed construction segment with some resources that I used and the general self-drafting plan that I made. We are indeed jumping into the construction details if you are interested. If not, you can skip to this time or use the video chapters. Now, this is not a tutorial. This is more so just a set of actions I did in order to recreate this poncho, which I feel like you could apply to any piece you want to recreate. I started with the obvious focal point of the design, which is the granny squares. So I took the original image and divided it up to see where the granny squares started and ended. And then I searched everywhere for a similar granny square chart. And the closest thing I found is this video tutorial from Nautica Land Crochet. So that got me super close. And then I redrew up a little chart myself on Stitch Fiddle. As you guys saw when I got the yarn in my hands, the 5 chains was a little too gappy. So anywhere you see 5 chains, I ended up doing 4. And then joining the squares with slip stitches to make sure there were no seams, I added little dots around my chart. Those would be the join points. So on my last round around the squares, if I was joining to another one, I would chain 2, slip stitch at that point, chain 2, continue the actual square, chain 2, slip stitch the other square, chain 2, continue with my actual square. Hope that makes sense. And then I made a little arrangement of how I was going to join the squares. I tried to keep it where there was never a join side on the side where I started the square, just because you work like half the side and then all the way around and then the other half at the end. So it would just be a little bit more complex to join on that side. From there, I had to create 2 panels, each of which had 15 squares plus a little half square. The half squares I just improvised and kept frogging until it looked right. And then once I had those panels, the next step was the mesh. For the mesh, I also tried a couple times and kept frogging it. And then I finally looked up this chart on Pinterest. Again, this one shows like 5 chains or a different number of chains, but what I was mainly looking for is how to keep the rectangle without accidentally increasing or decreasing on the edges. So this was extremely helpful with that. Earlier in the video, I also mentioned that I took off some of the rows of the mesh. I think I ended up with like 10 rows of mesh on each side. So I did my best to connect the mesh seamlessly, but I do have these little lines on either side that divide the mesh from the body. You can see it right here. If I could go back in time, I would try to make sure that those lines were both on the same side, and that could be the back, but it's not super make or break for me. And then lastly, I just added the scallop edge, which is just a 5 double crochets, single crochet, 5 double crochet, single crochet. Scallops are my favorite, easy edge, and the spacing of these is a little bit wide, so I feel like you could do a smaller stitch and more scallops, or just really whatever edge you prefer. But that is basically it for my poncho construction. I whipped this up in like around a month, and I actually can't believe I finished it that fast. But I know I've been talking for a while, so I do want to jump over and reveal my finished poncho. Welcome to my favorite part of the video, which is the project recap. Let's start out with the new things I learned. I definitely leveled up in granny squares. I've made like one thing before, which is shoved in the back of my closet because of how bad it is. So I feel like I am now like an advanced beginner with granny squares. As far as lessons, there's definitely a lesson here about finishing things and deadlines and doing it for the video and not the love of the craft. I probably haven't fully learned that lesson yet, but it's a good thing to keep reminding myself. Let's talk about the yarn, the Drops Saffron. I gave this yarn a 10 out of 10. I've mainly used thicker crafting cottons before. I think the thickness of this is perfect for a store-bought crochet look. I think it would be a nightmare knitting this at such a small gauge, but I did already buy more in black for another crochet top. The pattern is going to refer to my self-drafting arrangement. I gave myself a 9 out of 10. Overall, I really am proud of the construction of this piece. I do have to say I could have been more careful in connecting the mesh. You can see this side has that line connecting, whereas this side doesn't. And then there's one line in the back as well. I should have put those on the same side. The process of making this, I gave a 9 out of 10. I took off some points because of the whole pressure deadline thing, but I gave myself some points back because I made a couple of silly mistakes on this poncho, and I actually went back and fixed them, which I probably wouldn't have done in the past. I'm also proud of the level of preparation I did before I even had the yarn. If I didn't do that, I probably would have done something like make all of the squares and not realize that I needed to join them as I made them. For the finished project, I gave this a 9 out of 10. That kind of breaks my heart to say, but I am trying to be a little bit more strict on my recaps. Obviously, when I finish anything, it feels like a 10 out of 10. If I'm being 100% honest, I do think it's a little bit too big, like maybe 5% too big. And then I do love it so much and I plan on wearing it a lot, but it is a bit of a statement piece rather than an everyday piece. I do truly think that I pretty much nailed the look and the vibe of this poncho. I do really admire whoever came up with this beautiful design at Frankie's Bikinis. And of course, I have so much respect for the people making the ponchos for them as well. Please leave any thoughts about recreating fast fashion, maybe what you would recreate. But thank you so much if you stayed all the way through the project recap, and I will see you guys in my next video.